Stick and stay.
Now we're ready. Good morning. This is the Tampa Bay Breakfast Club. I'm Qiana.
And I'm the one and only Mr. Edmund.
And this is brought to you by the New Image Project, better known as
See that?
Because we are redefining
What's cool?
because smart
It's the new gangster.
baby.
Now you know.
If you didn't know. How are you this morning?
I'm indubitably awesome.
What do you say
awesome.
that again?
I'm indubitably awesome.
You're indubitably
Awesome.
I don't know if I know I can say that.
Yeah, awesome. That's me.
Okay.
How you? What's up?
I'm phenomenal.
Ooh. So this weekend.
You know what? So this weekend, there was a lot going on this weekend.
I know, I was in it.
Oh, you was in it?
Yeah.
You was in the paint?
We was outside this weekend.
So I did sit, puff, and paint.
Yeah, I missed it.
You did. You definitely wasn't there. You're right.
I haven't been able to. Big shots out to Brainstorm and Urban Ink. I haven't been able to catch one of the puff and paint events that y'all been doing.
Well, you came. You haven't even caught one at Urban, have you? Urban Drinkery. So none of the series.
None of the puff and paints. I will catch the next one. I catch the pre-sale. So when I see it go up, I make sure I get me some pre-sale tickets and I'll be there. Cause I've been hearing good things. Tell me about it.
No, it was really dope. We had Donnie Love. We had Hibachi. Somebody, I can't think of the lady name from Tampa that came over. She cooked hibachi. Jab was there. He had some stuff that he that he was doing. It was inside, outside. Bailey was there. She did her hookahs.
Okay.
It was just a vibe. It was just a really dope vibe. Everybody came out.
Okay.
There was a lot of couples.
Okay, dope.
And that's usually it was some single men, but most men that come are coupled off.
That seems about right.
Right.
That seems about right.
And so so that was my Saturday night. I did that, and yeah. So what was your weekend?
What was my weekend? Oh man, I went to big shots out to the Gasparilla International Film Festival. I was film festival hopping. Big shots out to the Dream Makers Productions whole team, Cranston. Big shots out to Antonio Brown, everybody who made it out. So we was at the Tampa Theater, networking with the filmmakers. You gotta be in it to win it. So
yeah,
we was in it. We was in it to win it.
All right. So what you looking for this week? Well, at the second hour,
yes,
we have a representative from the Rays coming in.
Yes. We've been doing a series talking about the Tampa Bay Rays Hines gas plant deal with the city of St. Pete. Previously, we had a representative from the League of Women Voters talking about the surveys, the 800 surveys that they did over the city.
Well, they sent out more than that they received 800 back.
That's what I mean. It's the 800. That's the only ones you count.
I'm just saying because
they said they reached out to all registered voters in the city and came back with the 800 number, which was a big number compared to a lot of the other surveys and the things that's been going around. Because for the Community Benefits Council, they only had 80. Literally 80 surveys came back. So the 800 was a good swath, and they came and talked about it. So we're going to have to raise Andrew Frazier, the consultant.
Right. And what we're doing here is really we're just trying to make sure everybody is educated, right? And that we're not one-sided. And what we want to do is hear the pros and the cons from everybody.
I mean, I think it's needed to make a good decision. To have all the information in front of you. So it's only right that we reach out in a way that can provide all the information for the community.
Right.
I think that's kind of our duty here at the Tampa Bay Breakfast Club. 99 Gems Carefest Radio.
Thank
So
you, Sharonda.
make sure y'all tune in
Good
for the
morning,
second
Demi.
half. Stick and stay because we're gonna talk that talk. If you have any questions about the gas plant redevelopment deal, if you have any questions, send them to Tampa Bay Breakfast Club. Put them in the comments.
No, put them in. So listen, don't send them to Tampa Bay Breakfast Club at this point.
Some people don't want to show what they asking, and if it come up and I see it, I'm gonna read it. Thank you. Appreciate you. Having a good day.
First of all, I was gonna say we're not looking at the messages.
It pop up. It pop up on mine.
Sometimes
you do. It always pop up on mine. That's how I got it set up. I see the questions. So if you got a question, send a question in. Call or put it in the comments. You have several ways to participate. There is no barriers to entry with the Tampa Bay Breakfast Club.
Yeah, y'all can laugh at him because he thinks
don't be laughing at me.
because he got he got a little chip on his shoulder.
No,
this morning.
You got a chip on your shoulder.
I got a chip on my shoulder. No, I'm just saying the people are watching and listening.
It's okay. Thank y'all for joining us because we definitely appreciate you coming along for the ride.
Qiana about to take off her belt. You
see,
right? Yeah. No, you know why?
She had her belt in her hand when she came in with it. Why did she like this? I don't know that. I don't know that. I gotta go put my self-defense.
No, he ain't gonna put his self-defense in. I
don't know that.
Not little old me. I ain't hurt nobody.
I don't know that.
I ain't hurt nobody over here.
So okay, we got news in other news.
What's other news?
There's been a lot going on by way of Brother Love, aka Sean Combs, BKA Diddy.
Okay, go ahead.
He is another allegation just came out. Lil Rod, the actor, says that Diddy was inappropriate with his 8-year-old child and his ex-wife. And he said he filed the complaint. People looked at him crazy, like it wasn't real. It's really going sideways for old Brother Love.
But so did he elaborate on like what
happened?
Nope,
it wasn't a real elaboration. It was a formal lawsuit or complaint that he filed. And now he kind of like saying, see, I told y'all.
Right.
See, I told y'all what he was doing with mine. And y'all ain't believe me. So I don't know. I guess we fell out. I guess he fell out the good graces of somebody. Cause if you think about it, it's been allegations and stuff going on for years. So for not to hit him like this, I don't know. Is it a conspiracy against the black man?
It could be.
Think deeper about it.
No. So I mean, we saw things happening, right?
And we heard things,
right?
Yeah.
And then, like I said, I do believe there's a lot of truth, and I also believe there's a lot of lies. And then there's a lot, even more opportunities that people have been. You know what I mean?
It's a lot of truth, and it's a lot of lies,
and it's a lot of opportunities being made.
Oh, definitely. I mean, I think this is like for hip hop outside of Kanye West, this is the biggest story in hip hop right now. Like, what's bigger than what Diddy got going on?
To be honest, unless something else come back out, like we talk about it, I'm not really keeping up with it.
Like, I seen it. It came up on the timeline, and I would just like, hey, did y'all know? I mean, we don't gotta keep up with it.
I mean, listen.
But I ain't gonna lie. I look at Diddy as like a godfather of hip hop. He's like a Berry Gordy of our era.
So I'm gonna tell you, when you gotta separate the work from the man.
Okay.
Right.
Okay. Like the music from
from
Robert.
Yes.
Kelly.
Right. And this is what happens is when you have a testament on when you have yes people around you.
Yeah, you gotta have checks and balances.
You do have to have, and you gotta have people that are not afraid.
Like, hey man, you tripping.
Right.
Man, get out my business. Hey man, I told you was tripping.
Right. And these are people who are afraid to lose their job, so they don't say anything. You know what I mean? And that's just what it happens. And then you create bigger monsters. And
they facilitate. Some of them have been accused.
Right.
Because these are all allegations. Right. Ain't nothing been proven. But that some people are enablers and some people are outright conspirators, co-conspirators. So
And then and so some people are going in deep details,
yeah, I
right?
know.
And then some are like real broad,
Mm-hmm.
right? So it kind of leaves the speculations up to you to figure out or to come up with your assumptions. And this is why I asked for Rod.
Yeah, Lil Rod.
Lil Rod to
Mm-hmm.
see like what was it? Like did he cuss in front of his wife? You know what I
Yeah, yeah,
mean?
because
What
inappropriate is everything.
right.
Yeah, yeah,
He
yeah.
could have
Listen.
that's what I'm saying.
That's why I made sure I said the words that was said in the article.
Right, because I'm
Cause
trying to
yeah,
figure
you
out,
don't
like,
know
but
what that
we don't know
was.
because he could have been
Cussed him
talking.
out.
He could have
He
been
cussed him
talking
out. Yeah,
about,
yeah. He could
you know what I mean? And he meant like, how you gonna disrespect me in front of my wife and my little son? You know what I mean? And that could have been inappropriate, or it could have been even, worse than that. But we don't know.
Yeah, we don't know. So, in other news,
No, but not even in other news because, like, because I heard somebody else even talk about it a little bit, and we can break like, never mind. Yeah, we can go to other news.
so Harriman O'Malley was on Tucker Carlson
hmm
X program. So people don't know Tucker Carlson. He left Fox News and went to X. He's been interviewing world leaders and like polarizing people. Um, and he did an interview with the chairman O'Malley. We put it on our page. If you haven't seen it, y'all go to the page, look at it. Um, and it was an interesting interview because I learned a lot about the particular indictment. The chairman got indicted. He's facing 15 years for what he's been accused of.
Really is speaking or not agreeing with the government.
Not agreeing with the government, saying, and one of the things is, and we deal with this locally. You got to get along, go along to get along. And if you don't do that, you do become ostracized in our community. Even if you're not singing the song of the dominant narrative, then you are ostracized. You are pushed to the side. You are now a fringe person because you don't agree with what the dominant narrative is. And that's one of the things Tucker Carlson was saying about what the chairman was saying. Like, hey, y'all saying it's him now, but it's gonna be you next.
Right. And what we look at, and we've talked about. Okay, so we've had the chairman on a few times.
Yes, we have.
We have, and we've been following.
We
this
definitely
story.
support the chairman of Yahoo as far as being black leaders in our community, doing things in our community that our community has needed for decades.
Right.
And we definitely have had him on speaking about what he's going through on the ways that he could speak about it, right? But he definitely spoke about the work that's been done by the Yahoo, the African Socialist Party.
Mm-hmm. And this is what the Tampa Bay Breakfast Club stands for, is allowing everybody to have a platform. Even if we agree or disagree with it, everybody should be able to tell their own story. Right. Here when we first had the chairman in, like I said through these airways plenty of times before, is we don't have to we can agree to disagree on things, right?
Yes.
On how we get there, but we should hear each other out.
And I think that we have gotten comfortable with shunning or pushing out the person who's saying some uncomfortable truths, some person who's saying something that's contradictory or not contradictory, but to the opposition of what the dominant narrative is. So whatever everybody's saying, and the person who comes out and says something to the opposite of saying, "Hey, y'all looked at that? Hey, did you look into this? Hey, man, what is this? Wait a minute, hold on, you being a troublemaker." Why you got to ask all them questions? I don't like him, man. He just a troublemaker. Man.
And when you go and start doing fact checking yourself, when when you don't let nobody tell you or shape the narrative of how you feel about somebody or something, because the one thing we did see when the chairman first, when they got raided, and you heard right, because they got raided and wasn't even indicted until like 10 months later.
So what happened was, and this is just my opinion, right? This is my uneducated opinion from all I know about it. Like, this is classic COINTELPRO stuff, right? You have a powerful black man who's world renowned, who's known and has traveled the world and has done work in all corners of the world, being prosecuted by the American system. It's like you have to be able to say it. You got to call it for what it is. I feel it's like it's a continuation of COINTELPRO. They're gonna try to put anything they can on them people because that's what they did to the other chairman.
If you listen to even the interview, and like even Carlson had to say, like, wait, you wasn't charged with murder, you're not charged with hurting children, trafficking, like you're not selling drugs, like everything that would require you to be indicted. None of that stuff was in there, and then nobody is coming back and saying anything
You're
about
not
it.
getting, and this
Then
is
they're like, even if they like, even if they say, even if the lies are true, you shouldn't have said it.
And no, and my thing is like that was one of the things I say that would make me feel it's just a continuation of COINTELPRO, is because the allegations aren't heavy. What they are is their accusations and their assumptions. But for me, I think as a community member, you know what I mean. Somebody can come and do this to anybody. They can pull up on the next election and do the same thing for the next conservative candidates or liberal candidates. They can do the exact same thing,
right? Easily.
It wasn't like, for me, and like I said to myself, this is a black group, African socialist group, with resources. They going around the world. They helping people in different cities, different countries.
And let's say this: the chairman's not the only one that's indicted,
because
they have some white people indicted in here. So yeah, let's see. We have, it says somebody had to bring his name up. Somebody close and local brought O'Malley name up to them people.
I wouldn't listen. How this stuff go, I wouldn't doubt it. Right? Because if you follow what COINTELPRO was, they have deep embedded people who are in the community who working for those people. They're on payroll. They're very respected, and they will throw dirt on your name to keep you down, to put you out like a fire.
So I'm gonna, listening to that, and my thought process, I think they have people that look for people who make noise.
Yeah,
Right.
Agreed,
And I don't think it had to be anybody local at first. I think they went to somebody local afterwards. I don't think anybody kind of, and I'm just saying, like,
know why I say the
you
opposite?
come on in.
Oh, my bad. No, why I say the opposite?
Go ahead.
Because if you notice, they've been throwing dirt on the chairman and the Uhuru name in our community for years, right? Like, it's been rumors of this, and it's been all kinds of things for years. And in my mind, I think that was all part of the job. So, and to put them at odds with the people they trying to help and the people they trying to serve. And it's like it's textbook. It's not something because I don't know. It's textbook stuff. They doing it 101. It ain't like this is some mystery stuff. This is the same thing they did to Eldridge Cleveland. It's the same thing they did to the Panthers in California. Same thing they did to them boys in Philadelphia. Same thing. It's the exact same thing. Same thing they did to Martin Luther King. Y'all remember they said he was a communist?
Right.
Y'all remember that? See, the same Martin Luther King who all these streets named after, them people said that man was a communist and was telling the people in his community that he was working with the Soviets.
And this is that's always
those big facts.
These are big facts, and right, these are things that you can ask Siri.
Yeah, you can look it up, and it's on the government paperwork. It's on documents. It's on everything. This is not like some stuff that people make.
And the last thing that we do want to happen is that he is arrested and he's put in that, and then later on, now we have to make right our wrong. right?
Yes, that's why
and this
we
is why we're trying to get in front
bring
of
it
the
up.
8 ball, like right now with it.
Yeah,
Is
get it right
because
first time.
we're sick of you going ahead making them super famous because they're locked up. And then now everybody else has to fight for them, and then they're gone, and their legacy has to get what's deserved to them. You know what I mean? And so we just I think everybody needs to stay look really close into this.
Yes.
Stay in tune.
Oh yes, most definitely. It's we're watching, Black history, watching history. This American history happening right in front of us. Right? We're being an eyewitness. We can turn a blind eye and know what's going on, or we can, take notice and participate and bring some, light to something that need to be brought. Because that's one of the things they were saying. Like, hey, why nobody talking about this? This is the same thing that happened in Waco. This is the same thing that happened in. Blah, blah, blah.
No, and actually, they said the difference in between Waco, they were touching children. They had a whole bunch of weapons.
Yep.
They had all this stuff. They had reasons to go and attack those people and to do what they did.
So
there
what was their reason to do this?
Right. There was no reason. And if you go and look at the interview, you actually see when they're taping up their cameras as they come into these these homes and their businesses. So there's no recording of what they're doing.
Hey.
And you literally see them putting black mask tape over their camera system. Right? And these are the things that make you say, if you don't have nothing to hide, why are you hiding? And if you look at all the agents that they use, the manpower that they use to go in.
But know what? That's a part of, and they had secret, community meetings with Black leaders in these towns, right, to throw dirt on these people's names, and that's what tipped me off, because people don't know I've read a lot of books. I know a lot of history. I know a lot of stuff.
I mean, they listen to the Tampa Bay Breakfast,
but they might not know. They may not know. They might think I just be talking. But I'm well read, right?
Okay, go ahead.
And a part of that well read, I can see patterns. Right. A part of reading books is that you can see history, and then you can use the history that you learn to inform the decisions you make today to better your future. So when I heard about the secret meetings with the leaders and all this stuff here, the first thing I said, and I said this to them, this feels like COINTELPRO, y'all.
And I will tell you, here on the Breakfast Club, he said, let's sit down. He offered to sit down with every leader here. Let's have a conversation and let's get the facts. Like, come in.
Put on the table,
And now here we go. And we got to take a break after this. And my problem is that a lot of people, you'll work with people behind closed doors, but won't support them in public. You know what I mean? And don't use me for when you need to get something done that you're not willing to do. But then act like you don't know me when you see me out in public. Okay, so we're gonna stop right there, right? Because we do have to take a break. We gotta pay some bills. When we come back, we will have the Rays representative in. We'll continue the conversation. We can talk about this more later on.
Okay.
We have to ask Qiana, but stay tuned. And we'll be back.
We'll be back.
All right.
In 60 minutes, the newsroom with Oliver Conway.
As time runs out to pay up, will Donald Trump be able to find the nearly $500 million he needs to stop his assets being seized? The EU begins an investigation into Apple, Alphabet and Meta, plus the latest on the Moscow attack and the Senegal election.
This is the BBC World Service, the world's radio.
To returning citizens. We were able to negotiate a deal where we got like 30 minutes on the radio at 99 Jams to talk about, Amendment 4 and other local, policies and politics. Enjoyed it, so we started doing it on Sundays as like a podcast with, at the time, Janet Michelle. She was our co-host and she, filled that role until she moved. And then we had Carla Bristol, Carla B. She came in for a season. And then Reno was behind the scenes. He was always present because we did organizing together, so he'd come and hang out. And then the things that he was saying off camera was like, man, we might as well just have you on the show. the negative thoughts that you is thinking about right now, or any particular subject, y'all, just flip it.
Turn problems into opportunities.
Problems are opportunities, man. Big shouts out to Sauce and Predo, man.
Real deal, man.
We on the jump board together right now.
Just being around people and clearly always talking, I just felt like at least learn something. So as you see that you're not going to shut up, you can have substance to your conversation and not just be labeled somebody who just love to talk.
Really being informative, looking to give the information that isn't readily available in our community.
Multiple meteorologists can look at the same data and come up with a different forecast.
And so now you take those models, take that data and say, okay, based upon all of that,
absolutely,
you might be in between here and there, and that's my know I'm saying speech.
Most recently, after Carla B, transitioned out and went to do other things as well, Qiana, we invited Qiana.
I've been working with the guys for a while outside of this, and they called me to interview. And when I came in to interview that Sunday, after the show, they was like, hey, you need to be a part of the show. And I was like, okay.
I look at it almost like a band and the instruments, but it's just the instrument that we're using is our voices.
My voice is already kind of squeaky. I know my voice can get squeakier.
You have to have your radio voice on and have that vocal control.
I talk lower when I need to calm it down. And when I'm very passionate about it, I slow it down. And because I want you to understand what I'm saying.
What's good for the geese is good for the gander. So if you keep it secrets, just know that she can too.
Okay, and see that's why Qiana, that's why you need it on the Tampa Bay Breakfast Club. You feel? Because you gonna even things out. You know what I'm saying? I was just joking. You know what I'm saying? It was joking.
We just understand power, and in terms of people's attention, because it costs. People's attention costs. That's why it's called pay attention.
We want to present local information right up there with, the trending topics.
One thing that's a common denominator with all of us is that we're all passionate about our people.
For me, what you take from me is that I'm real and I'm passionate about the growth of our people.
The overall goal, I would say, is to have a more informed community. Around electoral politics, around health, around equity.
It's about the mission of connecting the dots and closing the gaps, inspiring people to see what's possible, and trying to be an example. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing sometimes, but you do the best that you can with what you have, and you pray that others will be inspired to join in.
For more info, visit cdatcenter.org/Tampa Bay Breakfast Club.
And just like that, we are back.
We're back.
We're back. We're back. We're back. And you listen to the Tampa Bay Breakfast Club. This is Qiana.
And I'm the one and only Mr. Edmond.
And if you are viewing from Facebook, you see that we have a guest in.
Yes.
And if you're listening on the radio waves, we're about to tell you who this is. Would you like to go ahead and introduce yourself?
Good morning, Breakfast Club. Thank you for having me. Andrew Frazier with Best Source Consulting. Pleasure to be here this morning.
Yes.
Thank you so much for joining us. So we've been having a serious conversation.
Yes.
Talking about the gas plant redevelopment. We've had people come in, we had people call, we had people conversate. We already told y'all earlier, if you have any questions, put them in the comments or in the inbox.
In the inbox.
Whatever way comfortable for you.
Because Mr. Edmond came at me this morning. He said he got access to it. And listen, if you inbox him and he don't say nothing, put it in the chat. Because I'm gonna say something. Okay.
Yes. So that's why we invited our guests.
Or call in.
To speak about, the raise deal, to maybe to talk about some of the opportunities, some of the truths, the half truths, what's the status of it. Mm-hmm. So Andrew, just get started. First, how you got involved with this and how you come to be involved with the Raise Hines?
Oh man, this kind of goes back probably about 3 or 4 years. Mm-hmm. My company was fortunate enough to win a proposal to provide ESG consulting for the Raise. And ESG, environmental, social, and governance compliance, brother. EKGs. We ain't bringing nobody back to life.
Yeah.
And ESG gets a lot of negative publicity now from Tallahassee. And when you think about it, every human being, every person, every corporation has ESG standards. They just may drift from right or left, as far as their stances on certain things.
Yes.
So, the Rays brought us in, particularly look at a few things for them. One was just community engagement in areas where people aren't baseball fans. I think the Rays do not do a good enough job of telling the community what else they're involved with outside of just baseball and putting on home games, 81 games a year, especially as it relates to Black and brown communities. So that was one of our kind of mission statements. The other one really was to work on their supply diversity and procurement policies to help them be more engaging and more inclusive. Typically people do business with people they're around and people they know.
Yeah.
So how can we
definitely
expand that?
Yeah.
Then COVID hit. And priorities changed a little bit. We shifted more towards energy sustainability and trying to find ways to save money. And then, of course, we know what happened along with COVID with George Floyd and some of the other social justice things. And anyone who's followed the Rays know their stance as it relates to Black and brown issues,
Yes.
Black Lives Matter, LGBTQ community. They have taken stances that have not been economical for them, but it's been the right thing for them because of the communities in which they serve. So you fast forward to August of 2022, when Mayor Welch's administration decided to re-release the RFP or proposal around the gas plant, and the Rays asked us if we would come along and specifically focus on the intentional equity portion of the proposal and the community benefit agreement, and that's what we've been working on since.
So, all right. Just a status update. Where's the deal right now? What's the timeline and moving forward?
The decision was made by city administration in January of 2023 to award the project to the Rays Hans development team. And since that time, there have been intense negotiations between both parties trying to figure out, how do you put 276 pages of a proposal into documents that make sense. So we just finished the community benefit agreement portion, 5 meetings in January and February, engaging with the community and that committee. And as people may know, that was approved by the Community Benefits Committee 7-2 to move forward. So right now, the agreements are being drafted and negotiated. We have 2 more workshops that need to take place before St. Pete City Council, hopefully sometime next month. And we also have another reading and resolution that have to take place before County Commission. So the deal has not been approved by City Council or County Commission. Until those things are done, these are just plans. But we are planning, to try to be in a position of success to make sure that the community can be fully involved and engaged if we're fortunate enough to get this approved.
Okay. Now, can you tell me what are some of the pros of this deal?
Okay.
Wow. It's a $6.5 billion development. It's probably one of the largest developments that has occurred in the Southeast in the last 50 years, especially in the inner city environment. That means $6.5 billion worth of opportunities for people in this community to be engaged in some form or fashion. When you looked at the 23 guiding principles that Mayor Welch's administration put out, the one thing that I thought was, kind of ingenious on their side was they left a box. It wasn't very stringent. They didn't say, look, we need you to build X number of residents or X number of, square feet of commercial spaces. They provided, issues they saw within the community that they wanted addressed, and they wanted subject matter experts to address those. So in that, we have 1,200 affordable housing units that are part of this deal. You have, of course, the Woodson African American Museum that's going to end up being a jewel right in the center of the city, 40,000 square feet, right in the heart of the gas plant development. You have concept for a 4,000 seat Booker Music Hall. There'll be another opportunity for entertainers to come and work and show their crafts. And then not to mention, a brand new ballpark that's going to be 31,000 square feet. That's going to do more than just house baseball games. I mean, we're talking about graduations, opportunities to now bring in conventions, hotel space. So this is a transformational project and has the opportunity to change the face of not only St. Petersburg, but the Tampa Bay region.
Okay.
Go ahead.
So, any of the the participating organizations, like what have any obstacles? What are any cons or anything that people have been saying about it?
One of the things that was extremely difficult at the beginning of this process was this is like the third or fourth time it happened, right?
Yeah.
And I guess, being Black, we have Black trauma, right? So
Yeah.
how many times can you tell me you're going to do something that doesn't get done? Or how many times can we go through this?
Right.
And nothing takes place.
So because born and raised right here, right? My mother born and raised right here, her sisters and siblings, and I saw the stadium get built, and looking at it, and I know that the community was promised jobs, and this time it's promised jobs again. Are these jobs gonna be where they can afford to stay on that property and not just part-time jobs? Because I'm trying to figure out, how does this deal truly benefit the people in this community?
So that's a great question. Here are some things I think that are different about, well, okay, first and foremost, what happened 30 plus years ago, was not something that involved, honestly, the baseball team, which didn't exist at that time.
Right. No, there was no baseball team.
Or really, there was no planned development. There were things that were talked about as far as jobs that were going to come, but there was no actual planned development. We have a planned development is going to take us 20 to 25 years to build out.
Okay.
So when you look at it from that standpoint, the investment that's going to take place, there is literally a kid that is going to school right now at Campbell Park that can graduate in 6 years, have a job on site, also participate in our internship programs, scholarship programs, create a home business, and move into phase 2 of this project by the time they're 30 years old. That's how much of a runway we have.
So they should have jobs where the people who work for them can afford to stay on the property?
Absolutely. I mean, so the jobs that are being created are going to be jobs that are $20+ an hour jobs. I mean, that's just what the market calls for right now. And then these are careers. These aren't just jobs, which is the other piece.
Okay. Okay. Because I'm thinking, and I want to, because I'm looking at it, $20 plus, honestly, still can't afford to stay anywhere downtown.
No, you got to be like $30-$40.
You got nothing.
You got to be up. It's numbers.
It's numbers. There's no way that they can. $20 plus is still putting you in a 1-bedroom apartment somewhere in a, you know what I mean? Like, realistically.
Yeah.
I'm just doing the math in it.
You're right.
You know what I mean? Because
we was paying $20 an hour at the last thing we was doing, and I don't think nobody stayed down. I'm just saying, we was paying $20 an hour.
Yeah.
When we was working the campaign.
Yeah, we was.
And we had about 70 people. We had about 70 people, 80 people. None of them was going downtown. We probably had maybe one. I'm thinking of your boy Mama. But okay, so my thought is, okay, jobs. What about ownership, right? So like my family, I'm here, I'm just like her. I was born and raised here. My family was one of the last businesses that actually sold, right? For the development. And what is the opportunities for somebody like me to return as a business owner? For me to return as, an owner, not necessarily an employee, not necessarily a contractor, but a business proprietor, owner of my own establishment.
All right, so there are a couple of different things we're focusing on for what we're calling the restorative enterprise piece, right, or business ownership. The first piece really is supplier diversity. So we have to get this thing built and out. So we have a minimum of $500 million dedicated strictly towards, minority businesses with a particular focus on South St. Pete. And Jabbar has heard me say this many a times in public. I have to make sure I script this the correct way, and I need for people to read between the lines when they possibly can. So again, we have $500 million worth of supplier diversity dollars for minority businesses with a specific focus on South St. Pete. I want to make sure I
heard that. Yeah.
So that's during the construction and build out phase. And look, that's a minimum. That's a floor. Our goal is to get to 30%. That's only 10%. But the other piece you talk about truly is occupancy, right? So we want the businesses that operate on that site to look and feel like the people that are in our community. So we're going to have access not only for startup businesses with some discounted rental rates and kind of some incubator programs, but we're also going to make sure that we're doing some matchmaking to take place. So we have an opportunity for these businesses to grow and get a runway from the time we put a shovel into the ground until the time phase 1A is complete in April of 2028.
Okay. Okay, so I'm glad you talked about the timeline. So talk to us a little more about the timeline.
So hold on, we have a lot of comments. A lot of comments. We're not gonna be able to, but give us a call too. 727-637-2416. Again, 727-637-24.
Want me to start reading?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, Andy Oliver, Pastor Andy. When the historic black neighborhood was first stolen by eminent domain, the city used HUD money. This process came along with the civil rights obligations that were never fulfilled. It was just broken promises. It's been a long, consistent violation with the courts. So I feel that's more of a comment. Let me see if I can find a question in here. Hines is the Hines raised prepared to change the plans to fulfill those legal obligations? So that was a big question. And so what he's saying is some of the obligations from the past that were on the property, are the Hines raised able to fulfill any of those?
The only fulfillment that we're focused on currently right now is what the administration has asked us to do, what we're hearing from the community, right? The Community Benefit Committee had some things they want us to go back and take a look at. We're doing that right now with the administration. And the next step will be what City Council has to say.
Right.
Again, I think as much as we would love for this project to cure all the things that have been done over the course of the last 100 years in the city, it's impossible. It's something that can't be done.
I think it is impossible, but I think that we can come at with it being such a big deal and such a huge deal, I don't think we should rush it.
Okay.
I think the rushing of it to say, hey, we got to do it by this time, this is going to make difference in our communities for the rest of our lives, plus our children and the children's lives. We're looking at it. You think, like you say, this is a 20, 30-year process. We already kind of over, you know what I mean? We're going to be on the green banana side by the time we can get the bananas. So we on borrowed time in 30 years from now. Let's call it what it is. So I
call that Asian in place, but I get what you're saying.
He on the green banana side. What the world? I hear you. I heard you.
You know what I mean? So when you look at it, we want to make sure that the deal is not rushed, because if we're rushing, there's a lot of things that we can leave out on the table. So watching and listening to the surveys and being really involved is a lot of red flags for me.
Okay.
Can we talk a little bit about the rushing? You want to take the call first and talk a little bit about timeline?
Okay. All right. Perfect.
Hello, caller. Introduce yourself.
Man, this King Jab, the voice of the people.
Hey, Jab.
Hey, how you doing, bro?
First and foremost, I'm just glad to be real about it. I don't believe anything that's coming out of this man's mouth. I'm just gonna be real. The Rays have no invested interest in our community right now. Don't tell us what's going to happen in the future. I don't see the Rays sponsoring any of our high school teams. I don't see them sponsoring our little league teams. Maybe they are, but we don't see it. We don't see the players coming down co-mingling with our baseball players. You have no vetted interest in this community. Lowest payroll in the MLB. And this is how the Rays choose to do business. So why, as a community, should we choose to do business with somebody that wants to pay their workers the absolute minimum and take all the gains? The most important part about this is I see the Rays send a lot of representatives, but none of these representatives are actually natives. None of them really live here, and they're coming with a great PR plan. But the PR plan to the whole thing is, like, at this point, as a citizen, I don't care. We don't need y'all here anymore. We don't need to sell y'all our downtown. We've talked about, we not only came with arguments, we came with solutions. Like, you guys can move that whole stadium to Derby Lane and not take our downtown. It's just time to do something different, because I don't trust the Rays. I don't trust our city leadership. And I feel like me as a taxpayer, I'm finna get ultimately screwed by somebody that's screwing me right now.
Thanks for that. Thanks for that, King Jab. And that is a sentiment that people do feel. And I don't think it's aimed at you personally, but like you just said, some of the traumas that people have already experienced, some of the lies and the mishandling of the city's business. just makes people feel that way. But if you got a comment, you can.
Well, I think part of that is kind of what I touched on first in
You
the
did say
segment.
the first thing you said is that the Rays are doing stuff and they have a horrible job in letting people know
exactly what
they are doing.
The Rays provide uniforms for every little league team in the Tampa Bay area. Every single one.
What, baseball?
Baseball.
Okay.
Every single one. No one knows that because they don't talk about it. The Rays end up through their foundation between $2 and $2.5 million a year.
Mm-hmm.
They don't talk about it. No one knows about it. The Rays employ full-time 1,500 workers, not to mention all the part-time workers that come with concessions and everything else. So there are things that they do from a community standpoint that they just don't do a good job talking about. And that's either good, bad, or indifferent. He talked a little bit about payroll. St. Pete is the smallest city in the United States with a major league ball club, whether that's baseball, football, basketball. Unlike basketball, hockey, and football, where there's a salary cap, baseball does not have a salary cap. So if you're in a larger market, if you're the New York Yankees, you have a larger pool of money to pay your players and to recruit your players because of corporate support and things of that nature. So despite that, the Rays have still made the playoffs 6 consecutive seasons. They have more wins than every MLB team in the last 10 years, with the exception of the Yankees and the Dodgers, the 2 largest markets in MLB. So, I mean, there are some things they do right on the baseball side. They're not perfect. No one's perfect. I can understand the trust factor too. One of the largest hurdles we have to overcome, especially from somebody who's not from St. Pete, I'm from Tampa. I'll be honest about that, is establishing trust. And Jabbar knows how we met. I've tried to do everything I possibly can to get engaged in the community, have an open door policy so we can talk about these things and make sure we are establishing trust. That's number one in any business.
It is. So you're saying it like you say, you're not from here. And this is where just listening to the people, you met Jabbar, you met people that we're like actually out here that's really doing it, who've been touching and engaging to people. And then a red flag is like you look over everybody here that's doing it to reach out to somebody else.
Well,
you know?
I don't think that was the case. We got to remember how we got here.
No, I'm just saying. I'm just telling you the thoughts of people.
Go ahead. But remember, this was the third iteration of a proposal.
Yeah.
We had a pretty strong, what I would consider community-based Black delegation. It was part of one of the teams that actually submitted a proposal, and that caused some issues and some fractions.
Yes.
And to be frank, when I came on, I reached out to a lot of the people that were part of that team, to let them know A, what I was doing, and B, would you like to be a part of this? And, there were some people that felt like, if they did that, they would be turning their backs on the Black community, which I get and I understand. And I told them, no matter how this shakes out or how this goes, and I've continued to do this, if we are successful as a team, we want you to be a part of what we're doing. Right. And we want you to have a seat at the table.
So what my thing was, I always was willing to sit down because I feel that, having the knowledge and getting the information is important. I think that especially if like people gonna ask me what you think about this, and I want to know, and I feel you're doing a good job or the best of your ability, because some of this stuff is out your hands. Personally, you have to you gonna have to finagle it. You get what I'm saying? Because there's a lot of moving pieces. It's a lot of factors that's involved. This is the biggest deal in North America right now. Not possibly. This is. And what we got to do is look at it as such, and get the community involved. That's what all this is about. You are now listening to the 99 Jams Carol Festival Radio. This is the Tampa Bay Breakfast Club, the new morning show. And we have Andrew Frazier. He's a consultant for the Tampa Bay Rays Hines development of the gas plant district. Right. So if you're just tuning in, we're having this conversation. This is one of the series of conversations we've been having. Leave a comment. You can call in. We want to hear what you think. If you have any questions, I got some more questions to read. I'm gonna get to.
I want to get back to that Russian timeline too. I want to make sure we don't get.
Go ahead. Yeah, get to the timeline.
No, but from a Russian standpoint, I would just like to get a little better understanding. Yeah,
rushing.
Yeah,
not
rushing. Yes. This was an RFP that was put out in August of 2022.
Right.
Yes.
It was due the second week of January of 2023.
Right.
All right. And open forums, communications with citizens, public meetings. The selection was done in January of 2023.
Right.
We are now in March of 2024. I cannot tell you how many hours of public engagement. I mean, I'm just so when we talk about rushing something, I need to understand like what is someone's thought process. And Jabbar and I had this conversation. Every day that the ballpark sits there with no development around it, it generates zero. It does nothing for every day that it sits.
So and the reason people feel this way is because the community got wind of this whole thing. The first look was October 2023, right? The community, as far as the Raise Hines deal, as far as the what they call it, the term sheet,
okay.
You get what I mean?
Right.
So in December, it was a message put out about the CBA meeting about the community benefits agreement for December. In December for the meetings that started in January.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And you seen the meetings, they got well attended as it grew on. Mm-hmm. But like the first meeting, when nobody there but us.
It was actually a tornado watch.
But you get what I'm saying?
We were in the basement.
We went. I was there. I did go too. But long story short, people don't know.
They didn't know.
They don't know about it. So for them, this is like a rush because for them, they just looking at the information. They're just going over the facts. They're just doing their due diligence. You get what I'm saying? So as they look at it, that's a reality. Y'all been sleeping with it, but the people just getting introduced.
Yeah,
to it.
It's like the blinds just got pulled open from the window so people can look in. Even though y'all been in there working behind closed doors, the community just feel like they know about it, right? Mm-hmm. And so when you look at it, and then with people just knowing about it, they feel like, how can you be for the community? And the community, they don't feel like they're really involved.
Right.
Yeah,
right.
And then, like I say, there's some red flags for me that I've seen. Like, let's go back to looking at it like the 50 cents per ticket sale, right? For the raise right now that they have, which is fine. But with the new deal, from the understanding, there will be no percentage of the ticket sales that'll come back to the city.
Ooh.
Okay. All right.
So hold on, I got some questions.
But go ahead.
You're talking about the ball club that had honestly the lowest attendance in MLB last year. We need to change that. I'm with that.
But so, okay, here we go. So we can't use it for a benefit and then go ahead.
I'm not saying that as a benefit, but would you prefer to have 50 cents per ticket, or would you prefer to have $50 million of intentional equity that's going to be going directly into the community in South St. Pete?
Okay, so so 50 million. So I would like both, because let's call it what it is. For the ballpark at this point, even though it's at the bottom, it's still worth $2.6 billion, right? Somewhere around there. No, like the Rays itself.
That's the estimate to build a new ballpark. The Rays, if the Rays were worth $2.6 billion, how much
are they worth?
I don't know if Stu would be here, but I have no idea. And again, what something's worth is only as much somebody's willing to pay.
Right, but what I'm saying is,
right.
But when you're looking at $50 million over a period of 20 years, that's no money.
It depends on how you invest it.
So let me get to a couple questions, because they're coming fast and furious. I'm trying to pull the questions away from the comments.
Go ahead.
If you have a question, please put the questions in the comment. You can call or you can inbox us. Brittany says you can't rebuild trust until you address the past. I don't even remember hearing an apology for how people were displaced forcibly to build the stadium, the Rays. So yeah, they having conversations, and one of the things that I really wanted to say was or ask, right? As far as the deal is being worked on, have y'all considered having a participatory option or revenue sharing with the community, right? The one of the linchpins is people feel a one-time payment isn't enough, right? They feel a one-time payment is all right, but they want continued revenue, like a something that works into perpetuity.
Hold on, caller. Yes. Hello, caller. Introduce yourself.
I guess I'm the only one with the phone number. So
The phone number is 727-637-2416. Go ahead.
Okay, so I want to address this $50 million, which is actually still a portion of your yearly payroll, which is still the lowest in the MLB. $50 million over 20, 30 years does not excite me as a community member. That you actually you can keep that. Because at this point we're gonna lose out so much more. Let's go back to the facts. The last stadium, the Heinz deal with the Florida Marlins Stadium, has failed and left their taxpayers holding the bill, which is exactly what's going to happen to us. So $50 million of equity for the gatekeepers to play games with, I don't think that's good leverage for y'all to try to use to get for us to go with this, bro. And we're asking for more. $50 million is it's a very interesting number, being that I can't find the salary of any of the Rays executive staff. Because I went and looked. I was really interested to see how much the executive staff made versus this $50 million that they're giving us, because it's showing enough not $20 an hour. I'm gone.
Okay, I'm not sure what Hines had to do with the Florida Marlins. Okay, and that's a whole different setup with that ballpark. This is a ballpark with a master plan development around it, 6,000 residential units. This is different than just dropping in a new ballpark. So let me address that piece. The $50 million in intentional equity is an investment, and it is seed money. It is not all that is going to happen with this. Okay. This is going to be a sustainable program, and we are building it as such.
Right.
This is also going to be the community's program. There's only so much I can talk about until documents are released. But this is going to be this is the community's money. Now, we have plans right now on how that money needs to be spent, but you and I both know things change.
Yeah.
AI is becoming a big deal. So as we put money into different pockets of different programming, every 3 or 4 years is going to have to be reevaluated. And that's where the community comes in. The community is going to be in control of those dollars.
So talk about the residential, the affordable housing piece. During the CBA meetings, one of the aspects came up about the 1,200 affordable housing units actually was really maybe 600. They were saying because of the AMI, the area medium income, between 80 and 120 is close to market rate. Traditional market rate is where you can get what you want for your unit. But then when you talk about the 60% or lower AMI, you're talking about, the working poor, you're talking about working class people, people with jobs at fast food restaurants or whatever, janitors. So tell me about, is there any plans to adjust or help any more affordable housing?
So the affordable housing piece, I think, is something you need to have a whole week show on.
Yeah.
It's a huge education curve as it relates to affordable housing. So I'm going to start with this. We responded to what we were asked to respond to from city administration and their definitions of affordable housing, their AMIs, their strata income. That was our initial response. Our initial response, I believe, had 847 units of affordable housing. From January 2023 until we got to a term sheet, that was increased from 847 to 1,200. Subsidy, a ton of subsidy has to go into affordable housing. That subsidy can come in different formats. It can come from the owner and the developer, which we're doing. It can come from the city of St. Pete, which they are doing. It can come from the county, the state, and the feds. Yeah. Those are all competitive processes that have to be applied for. So no matter what happens in that application process, we have to do these 1,200 units. That doesn't mean we're going to get subsidy from the state or additional subsidy from the county or subsidy from the feds in order to make that happen. If we are fortunate enough to get more subsidy, we can do more things off site. But it's such a complicated process. Yeah. Like I look at what was just awarded, with the project on the Deuces, just after the holidays, $850,000 per unit, $850,000 per unit. Those units are going to have to be subsidized $500,000 just to get the workforce housing level for affordable housing. So it really is a complicated process and puzzle piece. I mean, I I wish I had a more straightforward and better answer. Of course, we'd love to have more affordable housing. But once you move one puzzle piece, it takes away from something else, right? If we didn't have the $50 million of intentional equity, that's probably a subsidy of $50,000. What's that number? $1,000 on top? That's 1,000 units. 1,000 extra units we probably could have been able to do without that. The Woodson. I mean, you start pushing and pulling things, then something has to give, and that was the best balance we thought that we can come up with, based upon what the city asked us for requirements.
Hello, caller. Introduce yourself.
Hey, how you doing? It's Yubi.
Hey, Yubi.
My question is, have y'all looked at any other options other than the city of St. Pete? If what y'all offering is such a great deal, why not just try that in the city? I know y'all got the training facility over there in Port Charlotte. You said this is the smallest city. If it's such a good deal, it seems like another city would swoop in and snatch it up real fast if it was favorable terms. Another city would say, yeah, we'll take that ball club. Come this way. The Oakland A's just went through the same thing in Oakland, where they was trying to go to Las Vegas and they were refused. For the simple thing is that the ballpark sound good at first, but the return on investment versus what the people already have invested is a loss. The reason why he brought up the Marlins, I think you misunderstood what he was saying, is that the same thing happened in Miami, where they built the Marlins and they invested in the Marlins, and it wound up pricing all the people out of the community, and the Marlins have not returned investment in Miami at all. So I'm just saying, have y'all looked at any other options other than, hey, let's just take this land from the city of St. Pete because they don't know how to negotiate? And that's just my question, brother. Just have we looked at any other options? Because it seems like it was a good deal.
Thank you, Yubi. Thank you, man. Thank you for that.
Tough on people, huh?
Wow. So let me tell you, Tampa Bay Breakfast Club, this is what we like. We say we like healthy relationships, right?
Yeah.
And so when stuff is good, we cheer it on. Like, I'll tell you this, the Rays have done some amazing thing. The Saturday Market Shop, I seen them support that. Didn't know about the uniforms to the Little League for baseball. I've known that people, they do donate. So I had my homecoming there one year. You know what I mean?
Did you graduate there too? The Trop?
No. Graduations wasn't happening there when I graduated.
Okay.
I want to say I was on the field. I don't know. Where did I graduate from?
They've been hosting graduations for a long time at the Trop.
I'm gonna say Alex. No.
Oh, I did graduate. What?
I think my graduation was at Bogosiega Field. I think that's when they were still having them
outside, sweating to death, huh?
Oh man,
edges all just everywhere.
Yeah, I'm going to say that's where I had my graduation at. So like, in any deal, right?
Mm-hmm.
I know there's good and bad, and like even when you're looking at politics, right? Even your best politician, you're not going to agree with everything.
Right.
And so here with the conversation, because right now, I just want to see the good in it, right? Mm-hmm. I don't want you to feel attacked, not for me or anything like that. But we want to make sure that this is, you know what I mean? Something healthy and gonna make sure that our city is left vibrant and not the life sucked out of it at the end. Because when you look at any deal, wherever you leave room for interpretation, it usually don't benefit the people who don't have the power.
Right. I agree. I was trying to categorize some of those questions the caller had before he left. Mm-hmm. The Rays want to be in St. Pete. Their goal has always been to keep the team in Tampa Bay.
Okay.
Let's just be frank with that. And this administration with Mayor Welch provided an opportunity to make that happen here in St. Pete.
Okay.
Have there been other places that of course they've had to look. And to be honest, like if things don't work here, Major League Baseball wants them to be in a new ballpark by April of 2028. So if that doesn't occur, I don't know what's going to happen. I would say that the chances of them staying here will be slim if we don't get this approved. On top of that, goes away, just you talk about this vibrancy and development. Just comment on some things I've seen across the bay with Water Street and what they've done around Amalie Arena, what they did in Midtown. Both of those projects are a quarter of the size of what the gas plant project is going to be. That's in size and scope. I'm not even talking financial. And the two components that those projects did not have, that this one has, is intentional. Like I have not seen a written commitment, not just verbal. That's different too with what happened 40 years ago and now. Like, this is going to be written on paper with liquidated damages and terms and conditions, to where if we do not do the things that we say we are supposed to do, we will be penalized for that financially. That didn't exist before. So having that seat at the table and having the intentionality, and this is not a smoke screen. You take what's going on in Tallahassee, you take what we went through from 2016 to 2020, the opportunity to have a leader in place who happens to look like us, who had a specific focus on intentionality, and to document that and memorialize that in an agreement. I don't know if you get that perfect storm anytime soon again. And again, I'm not saying that to where this needs to be rushed, not rushing, but rushed. But we do really have to think about how all these things came together. If MLB says, look, Ray, it's okay for you to play half your games in Montreal and half your games somewhere in Tampa Bay. I don't know if they're here, if they did that 3 or 4 years ago before COVID too. So a lot of things have happened, I think, to bring the parties together where a deal makes sense. Is it the perfect deal? Absolutely not, because what's perfect for you is not what's perfect for me. But I think what the community needs to understand is that I thought the city has done a decent job with trying to keep the community's best interests at heart and protecting those things. And the Rays and Hans have tried to do the same thing, and the deal is where they've met.
So I think, and this is a comment, this is a statement. You can probably take this back to the Rays. I think they need to engage with the silent investor. And the silent investor is the community. I said this at the CBA meeting. We have the investors, we have the city, the representatives, but those representatives represent somebody. And that somebody is saying, we're screaming from the rafters. We're not close to the floor. We ain't on the floor seats. We're in the rafters yelling, hey, no.
It doesn't feel right.
And y'all looking up, playing like they don't see it. But we like, hey, engage the silent investor. And that, like I say, that's just a comment or a statement to take back to the leadership. Hey, engage the silent investors, the people who aren't at the front row, the people who you can't regularly hear, and engage them and hear them.
Right.
And take what they're saying and put it into the memorialization of the contract.
And another thing, if you would take back, is like you already said, they did a horrible job with letting people know what they're doing in the community. I think that needs to be more of a focal point so people will know and feel comfortable. Because when you think of, they like, they ain't did nothing for us, like, and then they need to know that. Also, even with the marketing aspect, we look at like 80 surveys came back there, and then we had 800 on another end. So being intentional about making sure that the community is involved. And this has nothing to do with the Rays, but like I say, when you knock on my door to get my vote, come knock on my door to make sure that I'm happy. Don't make me come to you to tell you what I need, you know what I mean, to make this good. Because when you needed me, you knocked on my door.
But now I gotta come to you.
I need to come to you and tell you that I'm uncomfortable. So no, like if you really want my input, and this is not for the you gotta apologize. In general,
no, but that's right.
You know what I mean? Because like if you're saying that you're intentional and you really care about the community, you cared about me when you needed my vote. You cared about me when I needed to make sure you was there. Care about me enough to come do the same thing and get my opinion.
Y'all can bring me back for another segment of politics and community engagement once we get through May. But no, I mean, both of y'all made extremely valid points. Jabbar, one of the things that Best focuses on is, number one, when we engage with a customer, we have to identify all your stakeholders.
Yep. That's good.
And then we help you rank your stakeholders, and then we have a conversation about why you rank your stakeholders in certain places. And the community is a very large stakeholder as it relates to the Rays. Yeah. And that's one of the things that we were tasked to work with from day one. Because, you often communicate with shareholders, you often communicate with politicians, you often communicate with your corporations and your fans that are season ticket holders, because it's part of your marketing plan. But how do you engage those people that are your silent stakeholders? And we have to do a better job of, whether that's periodically, every quarter, sending out mailers to folks that live in the community, let them know what the Rays have done, what Haas has done. Yes. Coming on the Breakfast Club once a month just to shoot the shit and get Brian Alden here actually instead of me, which would be a pretty interesting interview.
Yes, that will. And we'll welcome that.
Yeah, but there are definitely things that we need to do. And on the community engagements guy, I want people to understand this too. Like, And I'm not making excuses for elected officials, but it is a process that once this RFP went out, for example, I have not been able to talk one-on-one to a single elected politician in St. Pete, with the exception of Mayor Welch after it was awarded in January 2023. I can't sit down and have a conversation with Brother John.
It's legal
or
I
personally cannot.
Yes, legal restrictions because of
sunshine laws and things of that nature, right?
Yes.
So that is a huge hurdle. Only time I get to talk to them is when y'all see us at a workshop.
Yeah.
And see, this is so you can't talk to them, but we can, right? And this is why I'm saying is that you can talk to me and I can talk to them, and if nobody's talking to each other, then nothing is being done. So, like, if you need your message to be perceived, you know, you got to go to the people who can tell the people that needs to be changed. Like, if nobody's talking to each other, then now we have a group of people that's, you know, have a misunderstanding.
So I'm gonna read some of these comments because they're not necessarily questions, but I think, you know, they want to be heard. Arnisha says we don't need trinkets, we need something. Oh, she took it down. See, okay. I was just on you. Godly. Okay, Yubi says the community has lost land in almost 30 years of investment. Pastor Andy, you have been tasked to manipulate the community, not to truly engage them. Karen says the stakeholders repress the raise, not the people. Represent. I think she mean represent the raise, not.
And
the
thank
people.
you for the stars today. Go ahead.
The CBAC was stacked with the mayor's people. Oh, that's Karen from the CBA. Teresa, as someone who was the supervisor of the relocation staff for the first redevelopment. Oh, she put a lot here. But I'm gonna get it. Here I come, Miss Teresa. For the first redevelopment plan in the 80s, I think it's important to speak factual. The original plan was approved in the 70s and implemented in the 80s, and the plan was to bring jobs, affordable housing. Laurel Park Public Housing Project wasn't even a part of the plan. Getting a baseball team wasn't part of the plan. That only became a discussion after the plan was already vacated and the Chicago White Sox was considering a new home. There was an effort to get the White Sox, but that failed. Major League Baseball expanded the number of MLB teams in 1995. That's when the Tampa Bay Devil Rays were established. My point is that people were not displaced for baseball, so people need to be accurate with the narrative. Y'all want some more? I got it. They just started dropping in.
You the one told them to put in the comments, didn't you?
Yeah, they dropping it.
This is what they do.
Qiana says, read the 50-year plan for the city. Arnisa, we don't need trinkets. We need something we can sink our teeth in. Ooh, in perpetuity. See, thank you. I'm glad you put it back up there. What else we got?
That's all I see.
Okay,
right
but yeah, I echo a lot of like what the people saying. And thank you, Ms. Teresa, for your overview of the story. And I think the issue is whether people was displaced, whether or not, because like I kind of know the Rays came along. I remember when the Rays came. So I remember the first event that happened at the Rays. I remember when Janet Jackson came. I remember. And it was
Boys to Men.
Yeah, it was like the
I remember my outfit from Boys to Men concert.
Yeah, it was like the Suncoast Dome or something.
With MC Hammer.
Yeah, remember Hammer came. Yep. So it was like it's not all the Rays' fault, but what people are saying that the Rays are participating now, and even though you weren't participating when it happened, you have to participate in helping clean it up.
And this is what
you have to. You can't just say, "Oh, they did it. It wasn't me," and y'all all at the table together. It's the representatives. It's the team.
It's kind of like a married couple. Like once you get married,
y'all together.
Y'all together now. You know what I mean? It's not your daddy. It's
y'all daddy.
You said I do. Y'all shook hands. Now y'all inquire it all together. But I'm one of the people. Is like I would like the Rays to stay, right?
Right.
I just want it to be a good deal. Like I want to sit back and be proud of the decision that's made here. And then we have, like we said, we have a black mayor, and this is also his legacy. Mm-hmm. I don't want his legacy to be tainted by a bad deal. And now that's what is left. here for the city of St. Pete, for their first black mayor to make a horrible deal and didn't benefit his community when he has the chance to make history, make amazing deal here, where then his legacy keeps on moving on and there's not that tarnish. Because living here in America, we can see how the players will play.
Right.
And being in a part of the community, I know what can happen will happen if we leave it out there. And so when I'm thinking about it, I'm thinking of not just as Tampa Bay Breakfast Club. I'm thinking of a neighbor. You know what I mean? A citizen here, a friend, and all of that other stuff. So my interest is not just the community, it's every aspect of it. And I want, when it's done, for us to do what they say the city is, the Sunshine State, right? So that St. Pete is shining and everybody be like, they did that deal, we need to follow something like that.
Right. Well, part of my, what we've been getting as far as comments and just, on our road show and talking to people, there are two things that I hear the most. And it comes from two different factions. There's not enough affordable housing. There's too much affordable housing.
But
so I'm just these are two things that I hear. And then when I hear you say, we just want a not a bad deal. Like I need to, what from the community standpoint, what from your standpoint constitutes a good deal?
So here we have 86 acres, right? I think there should be some ownership for some people who want ownership, right? Whichever that guideline looks like, there should be some ownership that's given it. We talk about affordable housing. I want affordable salaries. Like I don't think people would want affordable housing if they can afford to live wherever they want to go. You know what I mean? So if you want to do that, make sure that we can afford where you build. And that's why I asked that. Because there's a lot of people that make great money that can't afford nothing downtown. Right? They can't even afford business. And when downtown was like not thriving, you had people begging them to sit in there, and now those people who had businesses have been priced out and had to move out because they can't afford it. So when you're looking at a good deal, I want something revenue that's coming back constantly back into the community. I want and we can go in a lot of different stuff because there's a lot of things that you want, and I know we're not going to get it all, but I want it to be like when we shake on this deal, everybody's comfortable. You know what I mean? Nobody feels like one side won over the other. Like, let's try to even the scale as much as possible where it's not tilted, where the community feels like everything was taken from them.
Right. No, I get that. So on the ownership front, we have $15 million allocated to what we're calling restorative equity and home ownership opportunities. We originally wanted to use those dollars to target specific areas for people that may not want to live on the gas plant. But let's figure out where in the city makes sense. In the negotiation, the city has a very robust housing for all program. They own a lot of land through the city, and they felt like they could be better stewards of that money. So that's what we decided to do in spirit of the deal. That was two sides coming together, taking what we thought we were hearing from the community and coming to make a decision.
Now, so we're looking at $15 million is going at, and then another thing is we talk about the Black and brown community. We want to be intentional that these dollars are strictly for Black and brown. Because you look at it, we know developers and everybody is coming in and they're not necessarily Black and brown.
I'm winking at you. Yes, I hear what you're saying, but there are federal laws that prohibit you from doing such.
Right.
Yeah, you can't.
But what I need to do is educate people to let them know these things are coming and how they're coming and when they're coming, so they can be prepared and ready to take advantage of it when they come.
Yeah.
So at 12:01 on X date, they can be the first ones in the chute. Like, that's our job.
Right.
And that's how we foresee that happening. The other thing you talked about was jobs. I don't want people to focus on just the construction piece of getting this thing out of the ground. All businesses have to come and occupy the space. And we are starting to receive phone calls from businesses that want to relocate from areas to establish headquarters here, which means that I need to make sure our educational pipeline is ready for when these people want to start hiring folks. Right. I mean, it's one of those things, chicken or the egg. And I know people want that switch to turn on now. Like I tell everybody, we need more affordable housing. If the city said, okay, we're going to give you this amount of land to build 1,000 units of affordable housing today, I guarantee you the first door could not be opened or unlocked for 3 years. What am I doing with those people that need access to housing and funded in that 3-year period?
But when we talk about ownership, not just like housing, like business ownership on the property, where I don't want to just rent. I want to own my own building over there where I don't have to keep on constantly paying you rent. You know what I mean? Where this is my piece of land. Yeah. So that's a part of it too for me. But go ahead.
No, I get that.
Oh, it is. I'm sorry. Actually, it's busy. Go ahead. Y'all go ahead. Call in. Sorry, 727-637-2416.
Well, we got 2 minutes.
Well, actually, it's over with.
I definitely want to thank you for coming out. It's so much more. Maybe you can make a return. Maybe bring Brian out. Let's have these conversations because I think the biggest issue that is lack of communication. It's a silent partner that's here that is like begging for interaction. It's a silent partner here that's begging, that's coming out the woodworks that people felt was one group. Oh, it's just him. It's just him and that pastor. No, it's the people that feel like that. But everybody can't come to these meetings. People are at work. You get what I'm saying? And that's one thing I told people. I say, don't think because it's only 5 people out there that people don't care. People got to work. People are paying over 50% of their salary just on rent alone. So coming out here to talk to you about this 30-year deal isn't the top of their priority. But thank you so much.
I do want to give one, if anybody has comments, raisebaseball.com/here to stay is the project website. You can fill out the questionnaire to make sure you stay informed on updates. We make sure the website's updated on a weekly basis. And you can also subscribe to the newsletters. Follow us also on Instagram, Facebook, and X.
Okay, caller, like you got 20 seconds.
All right, so black people is just really tired of being like the side piece to the Democratic Party, and that's the problem with y'all messaging is because every time it's something to be given directly to us as black people, y'all don't want to offend the white constituent. So it's like a side piece. So when we start saying, hey, we want this, it's like, hey, y'all go back over there in the corner. So if y'all want to make this deal work, the silent investors is the citizens, and y'all don't have to, man, y'all have to just come out with the messaging. Y'all can't act like y'all gonna be scared to offend other people to come and engage with us. That's all I had to say. Thank you for coming.
All right, thank you so much for that. Thank you so much for that. Any last words?
Final.
You already gave your website.
You kind of gave your final thought. My final thought is listen to what he said. Get engaged in there, right? The deal is not done, so y'all still want to hear people, right? We're still
that's why we want you to engage. We still want to hear what you have to say,
right? You know what I mean? And like again, let's work together so that one thing we all have in common, I think, is we all love St. Pete, and keep that in the center of everything. And so we just want it to be beneficial for both parties. So be the change you want to be or see. Write down those 5 things that make you giggle, smile, feel good. And y'all know who up next. Sister Hugh.
Lose your shoes and shout out around the room.
Yes, this has been the Tampa Bay Breakfast Club. I am Qiana.
I'm the one and only Mr. Edmund.
And we are out.
WUJM, St. Petersburg. 99 Gems. The Berg.
Right now. Peace and light. This is your brother John, and I would like to invite you to tune in to the Tampa Bay Breakfast Club on 99 Jam every Monday and Wednesday morning from 7 a.m. to 9 a.m. for the latest in pop culture news and unique perspectives on hot topics. Make sure you tune in and start your day off right with the Tampa Bay Breakfast Club right here on 99.1 FM, 99 Jam.
Gospel lovers, are you ready for some church? The Angels Gospel